morning. I am reading in Matthew chapter 6, and it's a great chapter. Christ is talking, and he's giving them some, uh, not the rules, because we've got that from the Old Testament, but the New Testament fulfills. And so he's kind of explaining some of those things. And so he's talking about when we're giving in the beginning. And so the first thing is he says, when you give money, don't give it so others can see. Now, it's not talking necessarily about we go and we give our offering in church and you go up and you put your funds in there. But it is talking about if you're one of those people, and I don't know any of them, but if there are, and you have $100 bill and you're going to give $100 bill, or you're going to give $1,000 check, you make sure that $100 bill is flat and you hold the edge and you wave it around as you're walking up to the offering, and you make sure everybody can see what you're giving. People around you are going to notice, and or when you put it in, or maybe it's pet peeve. There are going to be people that don't like that I say this, pet peeve, but when they say, we're going to raise $100,000 for the building fund, who can give 10,000? And that person that pops up, I got 10,000, brother, I'll back you. I got 10,000. Another one, I got that too. And reality is, some of those people don't ever even give that $10,000. They just want everybody to think that they are who they're not. And even if they do give it, what I found interesting is in this chapter, so y'all can say what you want about my view on that, but what I found interesting is that Christ says, hey, if you're one of those people that does that, you have your reward. In other words, when we give, we cannot outgive God. We can't. And so if you're giving just so others know, well, okay, they know. And that's all you're going to get. God's not going to bless you with anything more or anything less. That's just, you got your reward. But that continues on. The next section is about prayer, and it's pretty much the same thing. If you're going to pray, don't do as the hypocrites do. Stand out there in the middle of the crowd or in the prayer room. You're the one that prays louder than everybody else because you want to make sure everybody knows that you're in that prayer room praying. And so you're going to pray real good and loud. Lord, I thank you for what you have done for me this week. Or maybe you're, oh God, thou art the... If you're in the prayer room to get attention of men, if your voice is outweighing everybody else's because you're trying to get the attention of men, let me tell you a little secret. God can hear the whisper. If you're that hypocrite, God says you've already got your reward. You got your reward. Is he going to answer your prayers? Well, you got your reward. You didn't come to talk with him. You came to make yourself known of being in the prayer room, of praying that prayer. Now, I know I stepped on toes there, but I'm reading the scripture. And it says, if you are that hypocrite, if you are that one that stands in the streets and makes sure everybody knows that you've prayed, he says, go to your closet. Now, your prayer room at church can be a closet. And I'm not telling you have to pray silently. I'm not even saying you have to pray so quiet that the person next to you can't hear you. Talk to God. But my goodness, it amazes me, the prayer rooms that or churches that have prayer in their sanctuary, and I'm not talking pastor and I'm not talking prayer leader. Understand, there are people that should be leading prayer, but it amazes me the people that think we need to hear every aspect of what they're telling God, and to the point that they drown out, to the point that other people don't want to come into the prayer room. Let me put it that way. You've got your reward. Check yourself if you're not getting your prayers answered. That might be part of it. Why are you in the prayer room praying? Are you praying because you're truly crying out to God and talking to God? Or are you praying because you desire for men to notice that you're doing the right thing? And again, God says, they receive their reward. They receive their reward. Then you go on down, and it's gonna, the Lord's Prayer's there, but go on down in verse 16, and it says the same thing for fasting. If you're fasting and you walk into the house of God and you're like, oh, I'm just so tired. I can't stand up to worship. I'm just so weak because I've been fasting. Or you go to work, well, I can't do my job because I'm fasting. You might need to find another time to fast because you've already received your reward, because you've made it known to men. Now, I'm not telling you that no one can know. That's not it. Someone wants to go out to eat, and they catch you on the spot, and you can come up with all sorts of excuses, but you don't want to lie. But if you're fasting so that you can brag and say you fasted a meal, your coffee in the morning, or something simple, and then you just, oh, woe is me, that you've got your reward. God doesn't say you'll never get any reward if you do it wrong. Now, this is what's amazing. But the reward that you are seeking is that men notice you, and you got your reward. I know that sometimes some of those things that I just named are hard, because you're really excited that you're giving the biggest offering that you've ever given, and you want someone to pat you on the back, or you want to pray loud enough because you want people to hear what God has done, and you're testifying, not the way you should be, but you're testifying. Or maybe because woe is me, because you're really, really struggling, you want to pray loud enough that people can hear you so that they will pray with you. But there's a right way and a wrong way, and reality is those people, that's not who you want your reward from. We should desire the reward of the Lord, because I will tell you, you can never, ever outgive God. Get your focus on who you should be trying to impress, because greater is his reward than man's reward. I love y'all.